What an amazing day of Test cricket, and today we've seen why Test cricket is still the greatest form of cricket. But on this episode of Kali to Gali, we'll go back down memory lane, if you can call it. We will discuss, obviously, the two big victories for England and the West Indies in massive away Test matches. But we'll also segue into a series that we didn't review due to our winter hiatus, the Pakistan Australia series, and how the West Indies' win in Australia just makes Pakistan's performance look even
Even
worse.
worse.
I've got Moin here with me, but Moin, I think there's only one place where we can start in Hyderabad, the Rajiv Gandhi Stadium. What a performance from England. 2.5 days when the first 25 wickets of the test match fell, England were what, minus 30 behind with 5 wickets in hand. And what a comeback from England.
I mean, it's incredible, right? Hartley was brilliant, but I mean, Ollie Pope,
Yeah.
man, that guy. You know, look, Baz Ball has copped a lot of criticism, right? Can they do it? Can they do it in conditions alien to them? They proved that last year last year against Pakistan. But then it was, oh no, but that was like a batting paradise of Rawalpindi. Can they do it in away conditions that are actually difficult to bat in? And they've
Yeah.
done it, right? They've done it. Stokes called this his best win as captain, and I agree with that. I think it's bigger than the Rawalpindi win, even though Rawalpindi was on
Yeah.
the flattest wicket. I mean, this is beating India, given the situation they were in. It was fantastic, right?
And then the conditions, I mean, it was a proper spinning track. I mean, you
Yeah,
saw some of the delivery, the one that Ashwin bowled to Stokes in the second innings. I mean, like unplayable.
it's unplayable. I mean, it really is unplayable. But I guess, and that's what we've been saying in many of our previous podcasts, right? Sometimes, I know it's cliched, but when we say the best form of defense is attack, but to explain it effectively, when you're on those minefield wickets, right, you know that if you keep defending and not progressing the scoring, there will be a ball with your name written on it. And then you'll feel that all those dot balls before were a waste because eventually you'll be what 10 off 50 and you'll say, oh, I've wasted like 50 balls. I could have scored if I knew I was going to get out without a massive score. I might as well just have scored a few shots and made a few runs, right? There will always be a ball with your name written on it. So the more aggressive you can be, you can at least maximize the time that you're at the crease and the scoring opportunities that present themselves. Firstly, secondly, there's a chance it can just throw the bowler off his rhythm, right? If you know that the pitch is not in your favor, there's one way to get a bit of parity, and the way is to try and just put the bowler under a bit of pressure to make him second guess, make him move, change his line and length, right? England did all those things and then some, right? I mean, Baz Ball, this is the greatest validation of Baz Ball or whatever you want to call it, that there is. And I think they deserve it, right? I mean, and look, credit to India, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
have to also give credit where it's due to India. I mean, they never gave up also. I mean, they
Yeah.
were, even when they were seven down, I was like, oh, okay, this is a comeback, right? Ashwin, I mean, this is how a tail bats.
Even when they were nine down, you thought.
Yeah, and they're still like just trudging along, Siraj, Bumrah, and all, because they don't give up. These are two winning mentality
Yeah.
teams, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you can see the difference. They make for really good cricket. Obviously, there has to be one winner and one loser.
Yeah.
Well, not for 60% of test matches ever played, but but in this sense that there was, and yeah, I mean, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. I think the interesting part, you made all these points around intent and how there'll be a ball with your name on it, so you need to start scoring. And I think India did all of those things in the first innings, right? And because you saw Jaiswal, he played at more than a run of ball for a long period, and then even Rohit Sharma. And so they showed a lot of intent.
Absolutely.
Rahul played really well. Um, and then in the second innings, I think it's just the fear of a chase or something where that mentality just went right. And a lot of the wickets, even the beginning of that Ashwin Bharat partnership, there were long periods where they didn't score a run or they were just trudging along like one or two and over. And when you needed 100, I think that wasn't enough. Eventually, they started playing aggressively, but I think it's just so surprising how you talk about England's approach in the first innings. It kind of didn't pay off because they lost wickets in clusters. and probably for the first half of the second innings it didn't either. But someone like Ollie Pope, and I think to be honest, the biggest credit I can give to him is his dismissal at 196. You can easily just try and bat it out for a double hundred. He's trying to reverse lap sweep Bumrah for four over the keeper's head, and he gets bowled. I mean, you call
But
it
I thought that was a bit
insanity.
arrogant, to be honest. I mean, that's a bit
I
arrogant. I mean,
mean,
come on, you can hit it straight and hit a four. I mean, that
but
percentage
that
play.
no, but he done that so well throughout the innings, right? He did it so
True,
well throughout the innings, right?
true.
So you have to give him the credit, and he hit the reverse sweep of the spinners very well. But he did do it to the seamers a couple of times. Maybe it was Siraj, not Bumrah, but it's just that's just baseball. Explain. I mean, it's 196, and I can only sorry to our viewers, related to the 196 that Babar Azam scored against Australia
I
in
did the
that
same.
in that match, in that drawn test match, but
Flat
that's
wicket, yeah.
therein lies the difference, right? I mean, Pope did it at a strike rate of what 75, 80, in a match which
Despite having a
eventually,
deficit, despite having a
yeah,
deficit in tough conditions, yeah.
yeah, and batting with most of it batting with the tail, right? And then still managed to, and these are the type of innings that people really remember. And again, it's that more of dismissal, but at the risk of offending some of our Indian fans or Indian watchers, should I say? I think the Indian team did prove that they are Pakistan's neighbors, and there is quite a bit of genetic overlap because some of the things that they did were very Pakistani in nature. Point number one being letting a 190 run lead slip and giving it away in a session and a half,
It's like a Mike Hussey all
making
over again, isn't it?
making a debutant a superstar like Tom Hartley.
That is the big one, isn't it? This
and of
was
course,
SCG 2010 all over it. You know that, right?
and of
This is
course,
SCG.
Dropping Ollie Pope a couple of times as well. So,
Comrade
how much
Akbar,
more?
come on. I mean, like just opened up the SCG scorecard. I mean, it wasn't, we made what, Peter Siddle instead of a debutant
Yeah.
or whatever. But look,
How much
I
more
think,
Pakistani can you get, right? So,
yeah, and also like collapsing
yeah,
when chasing,
it's from
right?
90 for three to 100 and
No,
what
it's better than that,
for
wasn't it?
seven.
It was 110 for
So there
three. I
was,
can't remember now. No,
there was
90 for
40
three, and
no,
then it was 120 for three
40 for
also.
42 for no loss to 60 for three.
Yeah,
Then 95 for three to 119 for seven.
yeah. I mean, there you go. Right. I mean, so look, I think ultimately, when you think about India chasing, two things come to mind. The first thing is, look, they hadn't ever been tested to this extent for a long time at home. Let's face it, right? So the jitters started coming in that, oh, okay, it's 230, it's a gettable score, but there's a chance we might not win this game, right? And that's suddenly the thought, the realization that you have to earn the victory now, despite being 190. And this happens quite often, right? When you are so in front and you let that advantage slip away, that that psychological damage that does, the loss of momentum, really, and especially when at home and not been tested, really comes back to bite you. So that's one. Second is no Virat Kohli. Right, Virat Kohli is the king of chases. I know it's in limited overs, but I guarantee he gives a semblance of stability and calmness during a chase. Right, even if he only scores a 40, the fact that he just occupies the crease and just sets a bit of stability there. They missed him, right? They did, and there's no shame in missing one of the great all-time great players. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, look at us. If we don't play Babar Azam, who is not the same level, I
Yeah.
mean, we would probably be 100 all out. I mean, so you've got to be. So I do think they miss Virat Kohli and the chasing prowess that he brings, right? So these two things, I think, played advantage. And I thought England would have settled for anything above 180. I think they knew these two things would play. I thought anything over 180, 200 was going to be game on. Like, I know you could hear Sanjay Manjrekar and the pundits saying, oh, anything less than 250, it's India to win. It's not easy, right? We've seen it so many times, even in Pakistan on flatter
Yeah.
wickets. It just happens, right? But I think we must say, England were also not like
Yeah.
they didn't have Jimmy Anderson, they didn't have Ollie Robinson, they had a bowling attack which isn't the most experienced. But I thought what they did really well was they figured out quite early where they had to bowl, right? And I give full credit to Ben Stokes and Ben McCullum. And it's not really easy to do when you're in conditions that Just you're not used to it all. Simple example. I know it's a bit technical, but as an off spinner, you're in England. If you want to target the stumps, you need to bowl a bit fuller because the ball bounces a little, right? And also, so there's a different length that you have to bowl. Australia, South Africa, you need to bowl fuller again because otherwise you're not going to get the LBWs or it's going to go over the wicket, right? Little things like that. Oh, and in England also, you can target line wise. You need to target towards the stumps, so the ball isn't going to spin that much. Suddenly you're in India, the ball doesn't bounce much, and the ball turns square. So your line and length need to be completely different, right? It'll be a bit shorter, a bit wider off stump. When you've been bowling for 10 years in your life in one like part of the world, it's not easy, right? And it's not like they had like 3 practice games before this. So I thought they were brilliant, in like just coming up and just figuring it out. And Brendan
I think it was
McCullum.
Joe Root's dismissal of KL Rahul in the second innings. That was a good example because he's an off spinner, if you can call him that. He went round the wicket, right? Because he knew that that's the only way he could get LBW into play.
LBW.
And he bowled it slightly fuller. It was a bad shot because Rahul went back to it, trying to nerd it away on the onside. And he got that shot with delivery, that shot in England, Australia, that would have gone over the stumps and he wouldn't have been LBW even if he missed it. But in India, that's it's similar to the Rohit Sharma's LBW as well. That would have probably again bounced over in other conditions. But also, I think Tom Hartley himself said that, look, I improved I saw what the Indians did in the first innings. I saw how they bowled, and I learned from them, and I changed my length and I adjusted it. And the same thing Ben Stokes did with the fielding, right, with the field settings and everything. So they actually picked up and they improved over the course of the game, and they learned from the Indians.
Yeah.
So there's no harm in that, and I think that is also the part of it, right, where you assess, you have your plans and you think this is what you can do, but if it doesn't work, which it didn't in the first innings for England, you adjust it and it did reap the reward. So, but also look, at the end of the biggest factor as well, I mean, this is a very big factor in playing in India in test matches, is you win the toss, you bat first, and that makes a big difference, right?
Huge.
So I mean, if it was India batting first, and if England had to chase 150 on the last day, I doubt they would have done that.
This is why I say, and I've said this for a while, and I'm in a big minority. Test cricket, the toss plays such a massive advantage, especially due to conditions varying so much, right? I believe in order to have good contests like you saw today, you've got to, a suggestion is invite the away team to bowl first without a toss. Does that make sense?
Away team to bowl first, no? Away team to bat first.
No, see, if it's bat first, that's too much of an advantage, right? But in instances where, so you tell them, look, if we don't need to do the toss if you want to bowl first. But if you don't want to bowl first, we go with the toss.
Right? Okay.
The reason I also thought initially that you should just allow them to do what they want, but if they or allow them to bat first, but that's a big advantage. Right? Whoever is batting is like my thing is it gives them a bit of an advantage if they want to bowl first and not take that and not take the toss. Otherwise, you take the toss, it's 50-50. Right?
Yeah.
The reason I think that is because often, like, on like absolute either rank turners or like really, grassy wickets, you have like a team like Pakistan or India and England or England and India, and they want to make first use of conditions with the ball, right?
Yeah.
So you just give them that little benefit.
Yeah. I mean, but then in Australia it's different, right? Where we've seen, maybe not the Gabba test, but in the MCG, big scores being scored on the day 4 and day 5. So actually batting second probably does help. Again, wasn't the case in Pakistan.
And you let the away team have that advantage.
Yeah.
Right? That's what or maybe bat first. Maybe I'm being too conservative. Maybe you just allow them. You give them first use in the first test match. In the first test match, you do what you like. Set it up.
Maybe. I guess maybe that's a good segue into the Australia-West Indies match. Again, look, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch every ball of that test match, but partly given the timings in where we are, but it was a day-night test match. But I did look at the scorecard. I looked at the preview for the first test as well, and I have to put my hands up. I mean, I looked at the West Indian team, and I couldn't recognize more than half of the players. And I looked at them, and three debutants in the first test match, and then even the others had played like 4 test matches, 3 test matches. And I think apart from Brathwaite and 1 or 2 others, there was like...
I mean, when I think about West Indies, right, this isn't the first time it's happened where West Indies and
Yeah.
Pakistan have been compared. If you go back to 2020 COVID, West Indies came to England, they won
Yeah.
a test match. Then
Yeah.
we came, Mohammad Azam and the Azhar Ali and, the Asad Shafiqs at the
Yeah.
time. We came in and we said, oh, yeah. And we were in pole position to win that first test match, which we lost.
Exactly.
And then rain, and then we were going to lose the third test match. We got
Yeah.
lucky with the rain. And and suddenly they had a win and we didn't, and the same thing happened again. And
Yeah.
this time, I mean, if you look at West Indies' team and look at Pakistan, yes, Pakistan didn't have the greatest team ever, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, there was a difference in experience, if not quality. But
Yeah.
there's something to be said about that West Indies fire. There's just something. When they play without expectation, when they
Yeah.
play without that pressure, it's almost like Pakistan to an extent, but just they just let that passion just take over. The Joseph guy has a really interesting story, not too dissimilar to Amir Jamal, where
Yeah.
he had to like
Yeah.
really make ends meet and all similar, right? And these are your two stars in Australia, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to just
Yeah.
give credit to them. Here, Joseph played with a broken toe. Haris Rao didn't want to play the Test series because he was scared. He was
And then
scared.
and you saw what he did after his broken toe, right? After the final wicket, he ran around the field with a broken toe, but he could
As
bat
if
in the
as
first
if
in the
taking
second. Yeah.
seven wasn't enough, just run around the field. You know.
Yeah. And then you have Mr. Harris Grove who wants to protect himself from injury by not playing a test match at all. But
There you go. There you
priorities,
go.
priorities. But I think, look, back to you made the point about the West Indies and how backs to the wall. But I think what also helps them or kind of makes them click is when they get really riled up. So there was an Australian commentator pundit who said that after the first Test match, he said that this Western team is useless or pathetic. He said something along those lines, which the team with West Indians took really personally. And I also think that Pat Cummins' declaration in the first innings, the West Indians might have taken that as an insult to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it reeks of overconfidence. Oh, because we just want to get those 10 overs in because, it's a day
Yeah,
night test match because we think we're going to get them four down. That's what you're telling
yeah,
them. You're like, you know what? I'll give you this 13 runs, but I
yeah,
guarantee I will take 3, 4 wickets before the day is closed, maybe three. And then you'll just be what, 15, 17 runs? So what, we'll just be a lead of 27? I mean, it's an absolute slap in
yeah,
the face. I don't
yeah,
think Australia would have done that against Pakistan. I know it was only 1 wicket, but we ended up losing the game by only 8 runs. I mean, they could have easily scored what, two more sixes, and that's it, right?
yeah,
So, I think they underestimated the West Indies due to the level of experience they had, right? So there was definitely. I don't think he would have done it against Pakistan due to I think Pakistan's on paper quality plus the fact that I think Australia are doing that on the back of a really successful
yeah,
test year, right? Right. They probably thought they were invincible, but
yeah,
clearly they're not. But catches win matches, right? We've said this before. The West Indies were far more disciplined, right? Lots of people are probably asking, what did West Indies do right that Pakistan did? And the answer is very simple. They held on to their catches more than Pakistan. Simple as that. Abdullah Shafiq's one catch, Mitch Marsh, that cost you the game. It did, right? I mean, yes, okay, there's a chance we lost, but we would have probably been in a much more solid position to win that second test match. Fine, we would have lost the third one. Even though we had a lead in the third game, we squandered it. But chalo, Hazelwood just bowled the spell of his life. But that second test match, one catch. That's the thing. One catch against a quality team like Australia, and that's it, right? And unfortunately, it wasn't just one. It was like so many. So yeah, the one other point I'll make is also I think in terms of scheduling, I'm not making excuses here, but nobody wants to play in Perth. Sorry,
yeah,
nobody wants to play in Perth. Right? We got it. Like
yeah,
we were, if you remember the game against Australia, Asad Shafiq's heroics at the Gabba, right? The Gabba is one of those, I know it's a fortress for Australia, but it's still one that can be breached. Whereas Perth, on the other hand, to a
yeah,
subcontinent team is like good night and good day to you. Thank you for coming here just to put you in your place. Here it is, you know. And I guess the last point I'll make is when you don't have a bowler who bowls quick, you know, this is what happens, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Joseph alone, his contribution cannot be discounted when he bowls at 148 plus regularly. You didn't have a bowler there,
Yeah.
and especially when you compound that with an unproven opening partnership of Australia, right? You didn't have David
Yeah.
Warner. Another difference. I'm not making excuses, but it's an unproven opening partnership. So it
Yeah.
was an Australian semi-transition almost. Joseph proved the difference.
No, I completely agree with the approach, but at the end of the day, look, I think this Australian team would still have beaten Pakistan. I think it's just a matter of approach and mindset. And you say, someone like Joseph bowling 148. I mean, on paper, technically, people think you have people who bowl 148 in Pakistan as well, but they either are not fit enough or I wouldn't say they choose not to bowl 148, but they're not fit enough, but they've lost their mojo. And
Yeah.
that's, made the difference. Even in the first test match, Joseph took a five for, right?
Can we just
Um,
say that this clearly the speed guns are right? So sorry, Shaheen.
yeah.
Sorry. Otherwise, Joseph would be showing at 118.
Yeah, they really cranked it up for Joseph and they like cranked it down for Shine,
Yeah, but just because why not? Yeah, yeah. Um,
but look, I mean, the other thing I'd say about the Pakistan Australia series is, yes, you can blame the bowling, but I think some of the batting also needs to take the blame. I
Terrible.
think Babar Azam had a terrible, terrible series, and we had to give him an honorable or dishonorable mention for all the expectations. And you talked about, I don't want to say this is embarrassing now, but you mentioned Kohli and how India really missed him. Ollie Pope's 196. I mean, we can't really put Babra in the same category now. I mean, he's his high score in Australia was what 41 in this series, I think. Um,
Correct.
got
But that's
out
almost
to
worse than a 20 because you've done
yeah,
the hard work. You're in, right? And you're getting out the same way.
exactly. That was the thing, and it was
It's,
embarrassing. Like, okay, either the caught behind to Mitchell Marsh in the first test, that lazy little prod, or the ball coming in and clattering into the stumps. I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
I
the
mean,
same. I thought there were
yeah,
like four dismissed. Either it was Cummins or Hazelwood, and like
yeah,
and yes, it's one of those things. A batter always it can always make a ball look better than it was.
exactly.
I'm not doubting that it was a great ball. It's like the whole well, who's it? It was Abdullah Shafiq who made that Stark delivery look like a Wasim Akram special. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, look at the gap. Look at the
yeah,
gap between bat and bat. Same with Babar. Babar himself, by his own admission, will tell you he was late to the ball
yeah,
and he left a big gap between bat and pad because he is having difficulty assessing line. This is the same way he got out to Siraj against India in the World Cup. The same way he got out, I think, to in two other matches. They escape me now. It was the two wickets. Either was off mid wicket catch in the
yeah,
World Cup, or it was this in swinger that he would just miss the line off. So it'd either be bowled or it'll be LBW. He's done this a lot, right? He just doesn't get
yeah.
that line right. There's some technical issue here. Fitness has a part to play. I mean, he looks much more unfit, although I think he improved it against New Zealand. But
Apparently,
look,
people are now saying it's the kids.
it's
It's the kids that makes him look fat.
I'm sure it is. Yes, I'm sure. It's just like the speed guns, it's the kids. I mean, I love this. I really do. Look, I think ultimately also, let's be honest, it wasn't just Babar. I think Saud Shakil was really disappointing.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't like again, he seemed all at sea. And the way he was getting out, he was trying to throw his bat way like far away from his body. It was
yeah,
and a sign of that is you aren't comfortable against the pace.
yeah,
You're almost scared, you're just not seeing it, and you're just throwing your bat at it. It's almost like a tail ender because you're just not confident. He
yeah,
looked scared like a rabbit in front of headlights, and you're just not
yeah,
assessing the bounce and pace of it, and that's why you're just nicking away. And it's annoying because you're a professional. You have three test matches, which means 6 innings, right? Okay, you get it wrong, in Perth, fine, but you've got four other games, and you're lucky you're playing in Sydney also, which is the most subcontinental of Australian wickets. I mean, anyways, it's just, and it was Hazelwood every time that got him out. Hazelwood has the height advantage. But look, it's just sad. But look, a few sparks, okay? I'm not
yeah.
going to talk about the catching. Forget the catching. We all know the catching lost us the series. I mean, I don't even want to talk about how Abdullah Shafiq is literally, I mean, it's such a good batter and he's almost lost his place due to his catching. But Shan Masood, I wanted to say a few things about him. Look, I think there's a lot to like about Shan Masood because I think the way he captained. I'll just go back first Test match, first day one, Perth. David Warner on 160 something. Notice the field. I love that Shan Masood was trying different things. He wasn't just waiting for something to happen. He had this short ball body line approach and he had a really weird field. It
Yeah.
made so easy would have backfired, but it doesn't matter as long as he tried. And it turned, and you could see it worked, right? When you try different things and you're always trying, it keeps the batters thinking, and some things somewhere will click, and a batter may make a mistake. Same
The
thing
Travis Head
Travis
discussing
said,
the same.
exactly. You see where the guy was placed. I mean, it's not by any means conventional by
Yeah, it's like a
position
halfway
as well
third
as,
man,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
it was halfway, right? It was halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was one more. Come on, Stephen Smith twice. He did it twice. MCG. It was like this last over, and he
Yeah.
just placed this one person there, and he fell for it. And you're like, and it's Steve Smith. That was
Yeah.
a vigil, right? It was 50 off 150 balls. He had almost
Yeah.
he wasn't seeing it, but he was doing a vintage Smith where he's gonna
Yeah.
survive, get through the end of the day, next day, come out and just absolutely tonk us. But it was
Yeah.
just, and it was amazing. And then in the third test, Sydney, he did the same thing. He had a man just
Yeah.
mid gully point, and he fell for the trap. And all this shows one thing, as was me and Hamza, it shows that Chanmasu thinks, right? And it's such an important
Yeah.
trait to have as a captain.
Even with his batting, okay, it was the results were mixed, but he got what, a couple of 50s or 50, and then so he was the only one who showed some
Intent.
intent. And look, it didn't pay off properly, but at least he was there. He was trying different things. He wasn't just dead batting it and eating up delivery. So I think he showed um, some positive signs, but at the end of the day, you need support from the other end as well. And I think that and there's obviously a lack in quality, I guess, and execution at times, but I think
Absolutely.
at least the intent is there.
Ahmed
And of course,
Jamal.
yeah, of course.
Ahmed
Although,
Jamal. I
look,
mean,
very good, but I must say, look,
yes, thank you.
amazing on paper, but you have to look at the quality of some of the wickets and who he got out.
Exactly.
It's very easy to say 18 wickets and 19 wickets. And yes, amazing, well done, by far the best bowler. But I mean, numbers what, 8, 9, 10, so many times. I think
Yeah, I mean,
half or
you know,
more than half were like the tail. Yeah.
yeah, you have to see his tally by every session and every day to get a sense. This is what I was saying also, right? Ultimately, and I was saying this earlier also, matches are won by winning those moments, right? It's not about the scorecard at the end of the game or anything like that. If that were the case, Pakistan would have come out victors in one of the tests, right? We would have won two of the matches against New Zealand with Babar Azam 50s or whatever, right? But you don't win moments, right? And that's it, right? They're one on the field, they're not one on the scorecard. And I think Pakistan need to just move on from this need to, and I'm not saying Ahmed Jamal does this, but others do, like Imam ul Haq, etc., just to stat pad their way to the next game, right? Like you're there to win games for your country. I think Ahmed Jamal in his defense tried to. All we're saying is, just for in case people think we're being harsh, I mean, he's done terrifically, but I'm just saying that I think we you have to just temper down and take it with slight pinch of salt because some of his wickets were against the tail. It's the same argument we used against Muhammad Amir in the 2019 World Cup and Shaheen Afridi in the 2023 World Cup, right? Highest wicket takers, highest runs scored. I mean, Rizwan was, I think, Pakistan's highest run scorer, right? Now, does that really mean anything? No. Right? Imagine it's so.
After the way he got out in the second test match, I don't think that means anything. For everyone who was debating that was out, and
That's out. It's out.
that is the
It's not like
most, and that was just a loss of concentration. I mean, this is it, players like Ashwin, I was giving an example of, who's very like street smart, would never do something like that. He would recognize at that moment, if I leave the bat, it's gonna hit my glove, but if I don't have my bat on the handle, then it's gonna be not out. But things like that, these guys don't think about. And
yeah, I mean, and they don't think about it. I mean, you could just leave it. It's just it doesn't come naturally. Look at Rohit Sharma who thought about retiring himself, and like look at us who can't even do this. Like,
yeah,
and this has happened a lot of times when we needed 100 runs, 5 wickets in hand. but we lose every time. We suddenly lose the set batsman, and the tail completely squanders. Like it
Yeah,
just
I think
squanders any.
that was the thing that really it was like you lost by like 80 runs at the end, right? Not by 40 or 20 runs. You
Exactly.
lost by
And the commentators were like, "Oh, tomorrow all the Pakistanis will be in with their, Pakistan's in the bath. We'll have a real match on." And then in like 20 minutes, we're done.
it's like,
And I keep saying this even at the SCG. Oh, tomorrow's gonna be a great day, and then finish 7 wickets down. And I'm like, if you're so bad at letting the day, ending the day, just do little things like opening your shoelaces and tie them up again. Like just waste time. Go to stumps. Like just ask for a new pair of gloves or whatever it is.
I think there must be some sort of we should do some sort of like research and see. I think Pakistan probably I think there are two things I want to research on. One is I think Pakistan are the worst team at ending a day's play with the bat. At least they're always losing wickets, and wickets number 5 and below. Well, when the opposition is batting, like the average must be the highest against Pakistan in recent years. Maybe not the Wasim Akar time, but I remember so many times that last recognized
last
pair
batting partnership.
always gets like a 50 or a 40 against Pakistan at minimum.
Yeah, no,
Just when you
absolutely.
think.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's happened 2 times. I mean, there's another one which is out of form players in form. I mean, or debutants like absolutely going from zero to hero. We like where we're experts at doing that. But I think I think it's a fair point, right? About like the Rizwan dismissal, all this, like the tail just not, and that same tail gave it a decent fight at the first innings of the SCG.
yeah,
I mean, okay, barring one player, Shine Afidi was actually supposed to be a decent bat. You had a weaker tail in the SCG, and they did okay. And I look, I even look at Ahmed Jamal, all the others. Like, they're going to bowl short to you, and why are you literally so surprised and like absolutely hitting it up in the air? Like, it's coming, and they're not even that short. Remember the Shine Afidi one? Shine Afidi is a tall guy. It was waste, and suddenly he was playing it as if. But then it was like a 150 hitting like I'm hitting my TV
yeah, you just make these average deliveries look good, right? If someone like Rohit Sharma would like smash this like into the 30th,
absolute fire.
30th tier,
Yeah, I mean that's it. We must remember Australia is actually a good batting, like a country with good batting conditions, right? You get used to the pace bounce. It's true. You'll get the same bounce on day 5 as day 1 for the most part. And you should be used to it. But I guess we learn to live another day.
We'll just have to wait till Brendan McCullum has a falling out with Ben Stokes and resigns from his England coaching job.
Well, he ain't coming to Pakistan, given how it changes depending on who the prime minister and who the chairman is. I don't think we're gonna get any credible foreign coach for a while, given the absolute circus that we've showed ourselves to be. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, there you have it. Fantastic day of Test cricket, but a little recap of Pakistan's dreadful performance in Australia as well. Not that that's surprising. But I hope you liked our episode. Keep watching. We've got lots more great content coming up in the cricket calendar. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.
Bye.